Dr. Amy Carter pressed her face against a small window of the research vessel Deep Explorer. The Pacific Ocean stretched endlessly in all directions, its dark blue surface hiding secrets that humanity had barely begun to understand. She had spent the last 5 years studying the deepest parts of Earth's oceans, but today felt different. Today, something was calling to her from the depths. "Amy, you need to see this," called out her research partner, Dr. Kevin Wright. He was hunched over a bank of computers, his face pale with excitement and confusion. "The sensors are picking up something massive down there. And I mean massive." Amy hurried over to look at the screens. The sonar readings showed a structure at the bottom of the Mariana Trench that was impossibly large. It stretched for miles across the ocean floor, but that wasn't the strangest part. The strangest part was that it was moving. "That can't be right," Amy said, checking the equipment. "Nothing that big can move down there. The pressure would crush anything living." Kevin shook his head. "The readings are consistent across all our instruments. And look at this energy signature." He pulled up another screen that showed waves of energy pulsing from the structure. "I've never seen anything like it. It's like the thing is sending out signals." Captain Bill Murphy, the ship's commander, walked into the research area. He was a weathered man who had spent 30 years at sea, and Amy had never seen him look worried before. Today he looked worried. "Dr. Carter, we're getting reports from ships all across the Pacific. Everyone's sensors are going crazy. Some kind of energy wave is spreading out from this area. What the hell is down there?" Before Amy could answer, the ship's lights flickered. Then they went out completely. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, bathing everything in red light. That's when they felt it, a vibration that seemed to come from deep in the earth itself. It was so low they felt it in their bones rather than heard it. "Everyone hold on," Captain Murphy shouted as he ran back to the bridge. The ship began to rock back and forth, not from waves, but from something much more powerful. Amy watched the sonar screen as the massive structure began to rise from the ocean floor. It was moving slowly but steadily upward, displacing millions of tons of water. She grabbed the radio and called the Coast Guard. "This is Research Vessel Deep Explorer. We have an emergency situation. Something large is rising from the Mariana Trench. I repeat, something is coming up from the deep ocean." The response came back filled with static. "Deep Explorer, this is Coast Guard Station Honolulu. We're getting similar reports from dozens of ships. The Navy is sending everything they have to your location. Hold your position if possible." Amy looked at Kevin, who was staring at his instruments with wide eyes. "Amy, the energy readings are off the charts now. And there's something else. The signals it's sending out, they're not random. There's a pattern. It's almost like..." "Like what?" "Like it's trying to communicate. Across the galaxy, in a star system humans had never seen, Admiral Vextar of the Zephyrian Empire stood on the bridge of his flagship. His reptilian features were twisted with concern as he studied the readings a science officer had just brought him. "You're certain of these readings?" he asked in his native tongue, which sounded like rocks grinding together. "Yes, Admiral. The dormant guardian of the Sol system has begun to awaken. The energy signature matches the ancient records perfectly. Admiral Vextar had lived for over 300 years, long enough to remember the stories his grandfather had told him about the Forbidden System, the system where a primitive species called humans lived, protected by something so ancient and powerful that even the great empires avoided it. Send a message to High Command immediately. Tell them the Earth Guardian stirs. They must decide quickly whether we warn the hegemony of worlds or let them discover this threat on their own." His science officer, a young female with bright blue scales, looked confused. "Sir, the humans are primitive. Their technology is thousands of years behind ours. Why would we be concerned about one guardian?" Admiral Vextar turned to look at the star charts showing the Sol system. "Because, young one, that guardian has been sleeping for millions of years. It was old when my species first reached the stars, and now it wakes. That can only mean one thing." "What, sir?" "The humans are ready." Back on Earth, Amy watched in amazement as something broke the surface of the ocean about 2 miles from their ship. It wasn't like anything she had ever imagined. The structure was enormous, easily a mile long, and it seemed to be made of some kind of crystal that pulsed with its own light. But it wasn't just crystal. There were organic-looking sections that moved and flowed like living tissue. "My God," Kevin whispered. "It's beautiful." The structure hovered about 50 feet above the water's surface, water cascading from its sides like waterfalls. The energy readings were now so intense that some of their equipment was shutting down to protect itself. But the most amazing thing was the sound it made. It was like singing, but deeper than any human voice could go. The sound seemed to vibrate through the water and into their bones. Captain Murphy's voice came over the intercom. "Dr. Carter, the Navy is asking what we're looking at. They're seeing it on satellite, but they want a first-hand report." Amy picked up the radio with shaking hands. "This is Dr. Amy Carter, aboard the Deep Explorer. We have visual contact with an unknown structure of enormous size. It appears to be of artificial origin, but unlike any human technology. The structure is approximately 1 mile in length and is hovering above the ocean surface. It's emitting energy and sound that suggests it might be trying to communicate." She paused, hardly believing what she was about to say. "I believe we may have made first contact with an alien intelligence." The structure's lights pulsed brighter for a moment, and Amy could swear it had heard her. Then, impossible as it seemed, a voice spoke directly into her mind. It was ancient, vast, and patient beyond human understanding. "I am Sentinel. I have waited so long for this day. Your species is finally ready to learn the truth about your world and your place in the galaxy. Do not fear, children of Earth. I am your guardian, and I have much to teach you." Amy fell to her knees as the full weight of the communication hit her. Humanity was not alone, and apparently they never had been. The world changed in the space of 12 hours. News of the massive structure hovering over the Pacific Ocean spread across every television, radio, and internet connection on Earth. Governments went into emergency sessions. Military forces mobilized. Religious leaders struggled to find meaning in this impossible event. Captain Jake Murphy of the USS Defiant received his orders at dawn. His destroyer was part of a hastily assembled naval task force racing toward the coordinates where Dr. Amy Carter's research vessel waited. Jake had served in the Navy for 15 years, but nothing in his training had prepared him for this. "Captain, we have visual contact," called out Lieutenant Sarah Davis from the bridge. "Jesus Christ, sir, it's huge." Jake raised his binoculars and looked toward the horizon. The structure called Sentinel dominated the sky, like a floating mountain. It was even more incredible in person than the satellite images had shown. The crystalline sections caught and reflected sunlight in patterns that seemed almost hypnotic, while the organic parts moved with slow, deliberate purpose. "All stop," Jake ordered. "Maintain distance of 2 miles. Communications, try to raise the Deep Explorer." The radio crackled to life. "USS Defiant. This is Dr. Amy Carter aboard Deep Explorer. Are you the military response team?" "Affirmative. Doctor, this is Captain Jake Murphy. What's the status of that thing?" "Captain, it calls itself Sentinel. It has been communicating with us telepathically. I know how that sounds, but I'm telling you it's real. It says it has been protecting Earth for millions of years." Jake felt a chill run down his spine. Protecting us from what? Before Amy could answer, Jake felt something touch his mind. It was gentle but overwhelming, like trying to hold an ocean in a teacup. The voice that spoke to him was the same one that had spoken to Amy. "Captain Murphy, I greet you. Do not be afraid. I have watched your species grow from primitive hunters to space travelers. I have been waiting for this moment when you would be ready to learn the truth." Jake's knees went weak, and he grabbed the ship's railing for support. Around him, his crew was having similar reactions. Some fell to their knees. Others stared in wonder at the massive structure. "What are you?" Jake managed to ask, speaking out loud even though he somehow knew Sentinel could hear his thoughts. "I am what you might call a guardian. My creators gave me the task of protecting developing species until they were ready to join the greater galactic community. Your Earth sits at a crucial point in space, where energy flows between star systems meet. Many hostile civilizations have wanted to claim this world for themselves." Lieutenant Davis looked at Jake with wide eyes. "Sir, are you hearing this?" Jake nodded. Around them, more ships were arriving. Aircraft carriers, destroyers, submarines, and vessels from a dozen different countries. Everyone wanted to see the impossible thing that had risen from the depths. Dr. Amy Carter's voice came over the radio again. Captain Murphy, Sentinel wants to show us something. It says we need to understand what Earth really is. Suddenly, images flooded into Jake's mind. He saw Earth as it was millions of years ago, when the first primitive humans were learning to use tools. But the planet looked different. There were structures hidden beneath the surface, energy patterns flowing to the ground, and a network of technology so advanced it seemed like magic. He saw a Sentinel arrive, young then compared to what it was now. It had been sent by a civilization so old that they had moved beyond physical bodies. Its mission was simple: find worlds where life was developing and guide them toward their full potential. I helped shape your evolution, Sentinel's voice continued in their minds. Not directly, but by small changes to your environment, adjusting radiation levels, deflecting asteroids, ensuring that the right conditions existed for you to develop intelligence and creativity. Fleet Commander Zora stood in the command center of the Hegemony flagship, studying the holographic display that showed the Sol system. Her forearms moved quickly across control panels as she coordinated the largest military fleet in the Alliance's history. Around her, officers from 12 different species worked to prepare for what they expected to be an easy conquest. Status report. She commanded in the common tongue used throughout hegemony space. All fleets have reported ready, Commander, replied her intelligence officer, a tall being with gray skin and large black eyes. 10,000 warships from across the Alliance. The humans have no space-based defenses worth mentioning. This should be over quickly. Zorith nodded, but something troubled her. The ancient record spoke of Guardian protecting certain worlds, but most of the military leadership considered them myths. Still, the energy readings from the Sol system were unlike anything in their databases. What do we know about this Guardian entity that has awakened? Very little, Commander. The Zephyrians claim their ancestors encountered it once, but their records are incomplete. According to legend, it is old beyond measure and possesses technology that defies understanding. Legends, Zorith said dismissively. We'll see how well legends stand against modern firepower. On Earth, Dr. Lisa Park sat in a secure government facility deep beneath Washington, D.C., along with leading scientists, military officials, and world leaders from every major nation. The transformation Sentinel had promised was about to begin, and she had volunteered to be part of the first wave. President Helen Knox stood at the front of the room, her face grave. Ladies and gentlemen, we are facing the most critical moment in human history. The entity known as Sentinel has offered to enhance our capabilities to defend our world, but the process is irreversible and potentially dangerous. Dr. Park raised her hand. Madam President, I've been working with Dr. Carter's team to understand what Sentinel is offering. Based on our analysis, the transformation isn't just physical or mental, it's evolutionary. We would be taking the next step in human development. General Robert Lee, chairman of the Joint Chiefs, spoke up. Doctor, with respect, we're talking about experimenting on human beings with alien technology. How do we know this isn't some kind of trap? Before anyone could answer, the lights in the room dimmed, and Sentinel's presence filled their minds. The experience was gentler than it had been for those at sea, but still overwhelming. I understand your concerns, the ancient voice said. Allow me to show you what humanity can become. Images flooded their consciousness. They saw humans working alongside technology not as users, but as partners. They saw a spacecraft that responded to thought rather than manual control. They saw people whose minds could process information at speeds that blurred the line between biological and digital intelligence. This is not about changing what you are, Sentinel explained. It is about becoming what you were always meant to be. Your species has unique qualities that even my creators admired. Your adaptability, your creativity, your refusal to accept defeat. These traits, combined with enhanced capabilities, will make you formidable indeed. Dr. Park felt tears running down her cheeks as she experienced visions of humanity spreading across the galaxy, not as conquerors, but as guardians like Sentinel itself. How many of us will the process change? Not all. Perhaps 1 in 10,000 will experience the full transformation. But those changes will benefit your entire species. The enhanced humans will be able to interface with technology in ways that will advance all of humanity. President Knox made a decision that would change everything. Begin the process. Start with volunteers from the scientific and military communities. Around the world, ancient sites began to pulse with energy. Stonehenge, the pyramids, Easter Island, Machu Picchu, and dozens of other locations that archaeologists had never fully understood revealed their true purpose. They were nodes in a planetary network, designed to channel and focus the energy needed for humanity's next evolutionary step. Dr. Amy Carter stood on the deck of the Deep Explorer, watching as beams of light connected the ocean-based sentinel to structures on land. The energy created aurora-like displays in the sky, visible even in daylight. But more importantly, she could feel something changing inside herself. Her perception of the world around her began to shift. She could see energy patterns in the water, understand the electromagnetic fields generated by their equipment, and process multiple streams of information simultaneously. When she looked at their research computers, she could intuitively understand how to modify and improve them. Captain Jake Murphy experienced similar changes aboard the Defiant. His tactical thinking expanded dramatically. He could visualize combat scenarios with perfect clarity, process the movements of hundreds of ships at once, and understand weapon systems that hadn't even been invented yet. Across the globe, similar transformations were taking place. Pilot Sue Williams found that she could interface directly with her fighter jet systems, controlling it with thought alone. Engineer Bob Martinez discovered that he could understand and improve any piece of technology just by touching it. Ordinary people were becoming extraordinary, but not everyone survived the change. For some, the enhancement process was too much for their nervous systems to handle. They died peacefully, their brains simply unable to adapt to the new level of processing power. The survivors mourned them, but they also understood that sacrifice was necessary for survival. Dr. Richard Stone, a physicist who had been studying Sentinel's energy patterns, made a crucial discovery. The Guardian hasn't just been protecting us, he announced to his research team. It's been preparing us. The electromagnetic field around Earth has been slowly modified over thousands of years to make this transformation possible. Meanwhile, high above Earth's atmosphere, automated defense systems that have been hidden for millennia began to activate. Satellites that governments thought were space junk revealed sophisticated weapon arrays. The moon's surface showed signs of massive construction projects that had been invisible to human telescopes. Sentinel's voice reached every transformed human simultaneously. The preparation phase is complete. The Hegemony fleet will arrive in 72 hours. You must be ready. Dr. Lisa Park, now able to process information at superhuman speeds, worked with teams of enhanced scientists to understand Earth's new defensive capabilities. What they discovered amazed them. The planet had been turned into a fortress over millions of years, with weapon systems based on technology that made human nuclear weapons look like fireworks. We're not just defending Earth, she realized. We're defending the entire solar system. Sentinel has been building defenses on Mars, in the asteroid belt, even around Jupiter. Captain Jake Murphy received new orders from the Pentagon. He was to lead a combined fleet of enhanced human vessels against the alien invasion. Ships that had been ordinary destroyers and carriers were now equipped with technology that responded to thoughts and intentions of their enhanced crews. But the most surprising change was in the humans themselves. The enhanced individuals didn't just gain new abilities. They gained a new perspective on their place in the universe. They understood that Earth wasn't just their home world, but a crucial strategic point in galactic civilization. As the countdown to invasion began, humanity faced a future with a mixture of fear and anticipation. They were no longer the primitive species they had been just days before. They were something new, something that the galaxy had never seen before. The ancient Guardian had awakened, and it had awakened something in humanity as well. The question now was whether their transformation had come in time to save their world from the approaching storm. Dr. Amy Carter woke up on the third morning after her transformation, feeling like she was experiencing the world through entirely new senses. The research station they had set up near Sentinel was bustling with activity as enhanced humans worked alongside the ancient Guardian to prepare Earth's defenses. Amy could now see energy patterns flowing through the ocean around them, understand the quantum communication networks that Sentinel used, and process data streams that would have taken her months to analyze before. But more than that, she felt connected to something vast and ancient. The changes are accelerating, she told her research partner Kevin Wright, who had also undergone the transformation. I can feel Sentinel's presence in my mind, but it's not invasive. It's like having access to a library that contains millions of years of knowledge. Kevin nodded, his eyes now showing flecks of silver that hadn't been there before the change. I've been analyzing the genetic modifications. We're not just enhanced humans anymore, Amy. Our DNA has been rewritten at the quantum level. We're becoming something that can exist in harmony with technology that most species take millions of years to develop. Across the world, similar discoveries were being made. Dr. Richard Stone at MIT had figured out how to interface directly with Sentinel's energy systems, allowing him to understand principles of physics that human science hadn't even theorized. The knowledge was overwhelming, but exhilarating. It's not just about the technology, he explained to a gathering of enhanced scientists. Sentinel has shown me glimpses of how advanced civilizations work. They don't build separate tools and machines. Instead, they create symbiotic relationships between consciousness and matter itself. In Washington, D.C., President Helen Knox was dealing with the massive social and political implications of humanity's transformation. Religious leaders were calling it everything from the next step in God's plan to the end of humanity itself. Some countries were demanding that the enhancement process be stopped, while others wanted it accelerated. Madam President, said Dr. Lisa Park, who now served as the primary liaison between the government and Sentinel, the enhanced humans are reporting a shared consciousness experience. Not a hive mind, but a network of connected individuals who can share knowledge and coordinate actions instantly. The president rubbed her temples, feeling the weight of decisions that would affect not just America, but all of humanity. How many have been successfully enhanced so far? About 50,000 worldwide. The process is selective. Sentinel says it can only work on individuals whose neural patterns are compatible. But those who do change become capable of incredible things. To demonstrate, Dr. Park gestured to a complex piece of alien technology that Sentinel had provided. One of the enhanced engineers, a woman named Carol Adams, placed her hands on the device. Within seconds, she had not only figured out how it worked, but had improved its efficiency by 30%. The scary part, Dr. Park continued, is that Sentinel says we're still in the early stages of the transformation. As more humans are enhanced, the collective capability of our species will grow exponentially. Meanwhile, Captain Jake Murphy was leading test flights of Earth's newly modified military aircraft. His F-35 fighter had been transformed by Sentinel's technology into something that barely resembled its original design. It could now travel at speeds approaching light speed within Earth's atmosphere, and was armed with weapons based on principles that human science was still learning to understand. "Control, this is Murphy," he said into his communication system, though he knew the enhanced ground crew could hear his thoughts directly, running Test Pattern 7. "The interface between my consciousness and the aircraft systems is seamless. I'm not flying the plane anymore, I am the plane." His wingman, Lieutenant Commander Nancy Foster, was having similar experiences. "Jake, I'm picking up sensor readings from objects in orbit that our satellites can't even detect. The enhancement is giving us capabilities we didn't know were possible." Below them, other changes were taking place across the planet. The ancient sites that had been revealed as parts of Sentinel's network were now fully active. Massive energy collectors rose from the ocean floors. Weapon systems that had been dormant for millennia powered up in preparation for the coming battle. Dr. Amy Carter, still aboard the Deep Explorer, was working directly with Sentinel to coordinate the planet's defenses. The experience was like being connected to a vast, ancient mind that had seen civilizations rise and fall across the galaxy. "Show me what we're really facing," she asked the Guardian. Images flooded her consciousness. The hegemony fleet was massive beyond imagination. 10,000 warships represented a combined military might of 12 different species. Each ship was larger than anything humans had ever built, armed with weapons that could destroy entire cities with a single shot. But size is not everything, Sentinel's ancient voice explained. The hegemony relies on overwhelming firepower and superior numbers. They have never faced a species that can adapt and evolve as quickly as humans can. What makes us different? Amy asked. Most species develop along predictable paths. They master technology slowly, over millions of years. But humans are chaos made manifest. You create new solutions to problems faster than the problems themselves can evolve. Combined with my technology, that adaptability becomes a weapon more powerful than any fleet. To demonstrate, Sentinel shared a vision of what enhanced humans could become. Amy saw people whose consciousness could split across multiple platforms simultaneously, fighting space battles while also conducting scientific research and coordinating planetary defenses. She saw humans who could modify alien technology in real time during combat, turning enemy weapons against themselves. The transformation isn't finished, Sentinel continued. As the threat approaches, those who have been enhanced will develop new capabilities. Your species' survival instinct will combine with my technology to create possibilities that neither of us can fully predict. In orbit around Earth, automated defense platforms that have been disguised as space debris for decades began revealing their true nature. What had appeared to be broken satellites and orbital junk transformed into sophisticated weapon arrays. The moon itself showed signs of massive construction as hidden factories began producing defensive systems. Commander Steve Barnes of the International Space Station was one of the first to witness the transformation of Earth's orbital environment. His enhanced vision could now see energy patterns invisible to normal humans, and what he saw amazed him. Mission Control, you're not going to believe this. The entire space around Earth is lighting up like a Christmas tree. There are defensive systems everywhere, hidden in asteroids built into the moon's surface, even integrated into some of our own satellites. Back on Earth, enhanced humans were making discoveries that would have taken normal science decades to achieve. Engineer Bob Martinez had figured out how to modify conventional weapons to fire energy projectiles. Pilot Sue Williams had learned to merge her consciousness with entire squadrons of aircraft, coordinating complex battle maneuvers through thought alone. But perhaps the most significant change was in the enhanced humans themselves. They were beginning to think of Earth not just as their home, but as their responsibility. The same protective instinct that Sentinel felt for developing species was awakening in humanity. Dr. Lisa Park expressed it best during a meeting with world leaders. We're not just fighting for our survival anymore. We're fighting for our right to become the guardians of other developing species. Sentinel has shown us that this is our destiny, to protect and guide younger civilizations the way it has protected and guided us. As the alien fleet drew closer, humanity prepared for a battle that would determine not just their survival, but their place in the galactic community. They were no longer the primitive species they had been just days before. They were becoming something new, something that the galaxy had never encountered. The ancient Guardian had not just awakened. It had awakened the potential that had been sleeping in humanity for thousands of years. The question now was whether that potential would be enough to face the storm that was coming. Admiral Kexteras stood on the bridge of the Hegemony flagship as the massive fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of the Sol system. The sight that greeted her was not what she had expected. Instead, a quiet, primitive solar system. She saw energy signatures throughout the area that rivaled those of the most advanced civilizations in the galaxy. Report, she commanded, her 6 eyes focusing on different displays simultaneously. Admiral, we're detecting massive defensive installations throughout the system, her tactical officer replied. The asteroid belt appears to have been converted into a weapons platform. There are energy signatures on Mars, the moon, and around the gas giant they call Jupiter. Kexteras' tentacles writhed with irritation. This is impossible. Intelligence reports indicated that the humans had barely mastered spaceflight. How could they have built defenses of this magnitude? Perhaps the Guardian entity has been more active than we anticipated, suggested her science officer. The energy patterns match nothing in our databases, but they appear to be incredibly advanced. On Earth, President Helen Knox stood in the newly constructed command center that Sentinel had helped design beneath the Rocky Mountains. The facility was a marvel of human and Guardian technology, with enhanced humans serving as living interfaces between Sentinel systems and conventional military command structures. "Status report on the fleet?" she requested. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as military liaison, her eyes showing the silver flecks that marked the enhanced, replied immediately. 10,000 ships as predicted, Admiral. They formed a standard hegemony attack formation and are advancing toward Mars. Sentinel estimates they'll reach Earth's outer defenses in 6 hours. President Knox looked around at the enhanced humans working throughout the command center. They moved with an efficiency that seemed almost supernatural, coordinating complex defensive strategies through a combination of spoken words and direct mental communication. Are our people ready for this? Captain Jake Murphy, now commanding Combined Earth Defense Fleet, spoke up from his position at the tactical display. "Madam President, we have 300 enhanced pilots in modified spacecraft, supported by automated defense systems throughout the solar system. It's not about numbers anymore. It's about adaptation and response time." To demonstrate, Jake gestured to one of the enhanced technicians, Lieutenant Sarah Collins, who was interfacing directly with the planetary defense network. Her consciousness was simultaneously monitoring sensor arrays on Mars, weapon platforms in the asteroid belt, and stealth systems around Jupiter's moons. "I can see the entire battlespace at once," she explained. "Every ship in their fleet, every weapon charging, every course correction. The enhanced humans don't just coordinate with the technology, we become part of it." Sentinel's voice filled the command center, no longer seeming alien, but rather like a wise elder addressing its family. "The transformation continues even now. As the threat approaches, your species develops new capabilities. Some of you will find that your consciousness can exist in multiple places simultaneously during the battle." Dr. Amy Carter, who had become one of the most enhanced humans, demonstrated this by suddenly appearing on screens throughout the command center while still standing physically in the room. Her consciousness had split, allowing her to be present in multiple locations at once. "It's not like being in two places," she explained. "It's like being expanded. I can think about multiple problems, process multiple data streams, and coordinate multiple actions all at the same time." As the alien fleet advanced, the first offensive systems came online. What the hegemony had dismissed as asteroids revealed themselves as massive weapon platforms. Energy beams that could slice through starship hulls began firing across millions of miles of space. Admiral Kexterow watched in shock as the first wave of her fleet was decimated before they could even identify the source of the attacks. "How are they targeting us?" "Our ships have full stealth capability." "Admiral, the weapons appear to be using some kind of quantum targeting system," her science officer reported. "They're not detecting us in normal space. They're tracking our quantum signatures across dimensional barriers." The battle for the solar system had begun, but it was unlike anything in hegemony military doctrine. Instead of facing mass formations of enemy ships, they were fighting an entire star system that had been turned into a weapon. On Mars, construction sites that had appeared dormant for decades revealed their true purpose. The entire planet had been converted into a massive fortress, with weapon systems built into the planetary surface itself. Energy beams the size of city blocks reached out across space to strike at the alien fleet. Commander Steve Barnes, monitoring the battle from the International Space Station, watched in amazement as Earth's moon revealed hidden capabilities. "Command, the lunar surface is opening up like a flower. There are weapons emerging that are larger than our biggest skyscrapers." But the most impressive sight was the enhanced humans themselves. Pilot Sue Williams led a squadron of modified fighters that moved through space with impossible precision, their flight patterns coordinated through shared consciousness. When one pilot saw a target, all of them could engage it simultaneously. Engineer Bob Martinez had modified the weapon systems on the space station, turning it into a mobile command platform that could coordinate defensive actions across the entire solar system. His enhanced abilities allowed him to improve and upgrade the systems in real time as the battle progressed. The hegemony fleet, despite its overwhelming numbers, found itself fighting an enemy that seemed to anticipate their every move. Enhanced humans throughout the solar system shared tactical information instantaneously, creating a collective intelligence that could process battle information faster than traditional military computers. "They're everywhere at once, Admiral Kexterar reported to Hegemony Command. Every defensive position is coordinated with every other position. It's like fighting a single enormous organism instead of separate military units. Dr. Richard Stone, working from his laboratory that was now directly connected to Sentinel systems, made a crucial discovery about the nature of the battle. We're not just defending Earth, he announced to the command center. Sentinel has been using the battle to teach us about galactic warfare. Every engagement is a lesson in advanced military tactics. As the battle intensified, more enhanced humans began experiencing new levels of transformation. Dr. Lisa Park found that she could perceive the emotional states of the alien crews, allowing Earth's forces to predict their actions based on psychological factors as well as tactical ones. Captain Jake Murphy discovered that his consciousness could merge temporarily with his spacecraft's artificial intelligence, creating a hybrid entity that was more effective than either human or machine alone. "I'm not piloting the ship anymore," he reported. "I am the ship. I can feel every system, every weapon, every sensor as if they were parts of my own body." The battle raged throughout the solar system, but it was becoming clear that humanity's transformation had given them advantages that the hegemony had never encountered. Their ability to adapt and evolve during combat itself was proving to be more valuable than superior numbers or firepower. Sentinel's voice reached every enhanced human simultaneously. "You see now why your species was chosen. You do not just use technology, you become one with it. You do not just adapt to challenges. You transform the challenges themselves into opportunities for growth." As the first day of battle ended, the hegemony fleet had lost nearly a third of its ships, while Earth's defenses remained largely intact. But Admiral Kexterar was not ready to retreat. She had orders to take the Sol system at any cost, and she intended to follow them. "Prepare the quantum torpedoes," she ordered. "If we cannot defeat them through conventional warfare, we will destroy their entire system." The real battle was about to begin. The space around Mars erupted in brilliant flashes of light as the hegemony fleet launched their most devastating weapons. Quantum torpedoes, capable of destroying entire moons, streaked through the void toward Earth's outer defensive positions. Admiral Kexterar watched from her flagship, confident that no defensive system could withstand such overwhelming firepower. She was wrong. The torpedoes simply vanished as they approached the red planet, not destroyed or deflected. They ceased to exist as if they had never been fired at all. "Report," she demanded, her multiple arms gesturing frantically at her tactical displays. "Admiral, the torpedoes have been absorbed somehow," her science officer replied, confusion clear in his voice. "The energy signature suggests they were converted into something else entirely." On Mars, Dr. Amy Carter was experiencing the battle through multiple levels of consciousness simultaneously. Part of her awareness was still in her physical body aboard the Deep Explorer near Earth, but another part was integrated with the planetary defense systems of Mars itself. "Sentinel, what just happened to those torpedoes?" she asked through their quantum link. "I converted their destructive energy into construction material," the ancient guardian replied. "Those weapons will become part of our defensive network. Your species' adaptability combined with my technology allows us to turn their attacks into our advantages." Captain Jake Murphy, leading the Earth Defense Fleet in a running battle near Jupiter, was experiencing his own revelations about the enhanced human capabilities. His squadron of 20 fighters was outmaneuvering and destroying hegemony ships that were each 100 times larger. "Control, this is Murphy. The enemy vessels can't adapt to our flight patterns. They're programmed to fight against predictable tactical doctrines, but we're creating new strategies faster than their computers can process them." His wingman, Commander Nancy Foster, was discovering that her enhanced mind could actually hack into alien computer systems during combat. "Jake, I'm accessing their targeting computers and feeding them false data. They're firing at positions where we were 10 seconds ago instead of where we are now." The battle was revealing the true extent of humanity's transformation. Enhanced humans weren't just faster or smarter than before. They were becoming something that transcended traditional concepts of biological and technological limitations. Lieutenant Sarah Collins, still serving as the primary interface of the Planetary Defense Network, made a startling announcement from the command center. "I'm detecting quantum communication between the enemy ships and something outside our solar system. They're reporting back to their command that they're facing unprecedented resistance. President Knox looked at the tactical displays, showing the battle raging across multiple planets. Despite being outnumbered 30-1, Earth's forces were not just holding their ground. They were winning. "How is this possible?" she asked Dr. Lisa Park. "The enhancement process isn't finished," Dr. Park replied, her silver-flecked eyes reflecting data streams that normal humans couldn't even perceive. "We're still evolving, even during the battle. Every challenge forces us to develop new capabilities." To demonstrate, she gestured to one of the enhanced engineers, Bob Martinez, who was modifying weapon systems in real time. As she watched, his hands seemed to move independently of his conscious thoughts, making improvements to technology that he couldn't have understood just hours before. "Bob, what are you doing?" "I honestly don't know," he replied without looking up from his work. "My hands know what needs to be done. It's like the knowledge is coming from somewhere beyond my normal consciousness." Across the solar system, similar phenomena were occurring. Pilot Sue Williams found that she could pilot multiple spacecraft simultaneously, her consciousness splitting to control entire squadrons. Engineer Carol Adams discovered that she could repair and upgrade damaged systems just by thinking about what they needed. The most dramatic transformation was happening to the enhanced humans who were serving as direct interfaces with Sentinel's technology. Dr. Richard Stone, working from his laboratory beneath MIT, was no longer entirely human in any traditional sense. "I can see the quantum structure of reality itself," he reported to the command center. "Matter, energy, space-time, they're all just different expressions of the same underlying patterns. And we can modify those patterns." As if to prove his point, he gestured toward a damaged section of the laboratory wall. The metal and concrete flowed like liquid, restructuring itself into perfect condition. Admiral Kexterow was becoming increasingly desperate as her fleet continued to suffer catastrophic losses. The humans were doing things that violated everything the hegemony understood about warfare and technology. "How are they modifying our weapons in real time?" she demanded. "Their ships are using our own quantum torpedoes against us." Her tactical officer, a being from a species known for their strategic thinking, was studying the battle data with growing alarm. "Admiral, they're not just adapting to our tactics. They're learning from every weapon we fire, every maneuver we make. Each engagement makes them stronger." "That's impossible. No species develops that quickly." "Respectfully, Admiral, we may need to reconsider our understanding of what's possible." The battle around Jupiter was turning into a rout as Captain Jake Murphy's consciousness merged more fully with the gas giant's magnetic field systems. The entire planet had become a weapon under his control, generating electromagnetic pulses that disabled entire squadrons of enemy ships. "This is incredible," he reported to her command. "I can feel the planet's magnetic field like it's part of my nervous system. Jupiter isn't just a planet anymore. It's become part of our defensive network." Dr. Amy Carter was experiencing similar integration with Mars. Her consciousness had expanded to encompass the entire planetary surface, allowing her to coordinate defensive systems across continents with the precision of controlling her own limbs. "Sentinel," she asked, "is this what you meant when you said we will become guardians like you?" "Yes, young Amy. You are becoming something new. Beings who can exist simultaneously in biological form and as integrated parts of planetary defense systems. You are becoming capable of protecting entire star systems through conscious will combine with advanced technology." The battle was reaching a turning point. The hegemony fleet, despite its overwhelming initial numbers, was being systematically destroyed by an enemy that grew more capable with each passing hour. But Admiral Kexterow had one final option. "Prepare the singularity bomb," she ordered. "If we cannot conquer this system, we will ensure that no one else can either." Her crew looked at her with shock. A singularity bomb would create a black hole that would consume the entire solar system, including their own fleet. "Admiral, that weapon will destroy us as well." Her science officer protested. "Better that than allowing these enhanced humans to spread across the galaxy. They represent a threat to the natural order itself." On Earth, Sentinel detected the preparation of the ultimate weapon. For the first time since awakening, the ancient guardian felt something approaching concern. The enemy is preparing to destroy this entire star system rather than accept defeat. It announced to every enhanced human simultaneously. They fear what you are becoming more than they desire conquest. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as a primary coordinator between all enhanced humans, felt the collective consciousness of her transformed species responding to the threat. What could we do against a weapon like that? Together, you might be able to do something that I cannot do alone, Sentinel replied. You might be able to transform the weapon itself before it can activate. The greatest test of humanity's transformation was about to begin. They would either transcend their current limitations once again, or everything they become will be destroyed in the birth of an artificial black hole. The battle for Earth's survival was entering its final phase. The singularity bomb aboard the Hegemony flagship began its charging sequence, drawing energy from the quantum fabric of space itself. Admiral Kexterow watched the weapon's progress with grim satisfaction. In 15 minutes, the artificial black hole would tear the Sol system apart, consuming everything within several billion miles. All ships, retreat to minimum safe distance, she ordered. Prepare for immediate hyperspace jump once the weapon detonates. On Earth, every enhanced human felt Sentinel's urgency flooding their consciousness. The Ancient Guardian was sharing everything it knew about singularity weapons, and the knowledge was terrifying. Once activated, nothing in known physics could stop the cascade effect that would create the black hole. There is one possibility. Sentinel's voice reached them all, but it requires something that has never been attempted. You must merge not just with technology, but with the fundamental forces of reality itself. Dr. Amy Carter, her consciousness now spread across multiple planetary systems, understood first. You want us to become the weapon's opposite, not just to stop it, but to transform it into something else entirely. Yes, but the level of integration required may mean that some of you will cease to exist as individual entities. You might become something that transcends individual consciousness entirely. In the command center beneath the Rocky Mountains, Dr. Lisa Park coordinated with enhanced humans throughout the solar system. The collective intelligence that had emerged from their shared consciousness was now planning something that bordered on the impossible. We need volunteers, she announced. Individuals willing to merge completely with Sentinel's quantum systems. There's no guarantee that you'll remain you. Captain Jake Murphy was the first to volunteer. His integration with the Jupiter defense systems had already pushed him beyond normal human consciousness. I'm already more than halfway there. I can feel my individual identity dissolving into something larger. Pilot Sue Williams, controlling fighter squadrons throughout the system, spoke next. Same here. My consciousness is already distributed across dozens of spacecraft. Taking the next step feels natural. One by one, the most enhanced humans volunteer for complete integration. Dr. Richard Stone, Bob Martinez, Carol Adams, Commander Steve Barnes, and dozens of others. They will become living components of a weapon designed to counter the physics-defying threat bearing down on their system. The process began immediately. The volunteers' physical bodies remained in their locations throughout the solar system, but their consciousness began to merge with Sentinel's quantum processing networks. The effect was visible to everyone watching. Streams of energy connected every enhanced human to every other, creating a web of intelligence that spanned millions of miles. Dr. Amy Carter found herself at the center of the emerging collective consciousness. She was still Amy, but she was also part of something vastly larger. Through the network, she could perceive the singularity bomb's quantum structure, understanding it at a level deeper than mere physics. I can see how it works, she announced to the collective. It doesn't create a black hole through normal gravitational collapse. It tears a hole in space-time itself, allowing the quantum void to pour into our reality. Then we create the opposite, replied the consciousness that had been Captain Jake Murphy. Instead of tearing reality apart, we weave it back together. The merged intelligence began to work. Using Sentinel's technology as a foundation, they reached out with their collective will toward the charging weapon. What they attempted had never been done before. Manipulating the fundamental structure of reality through conscious intention backed by technology that bordered on magic. Admiral Kexterow watched her instruments in growing confusion as the singularity bomb's readings began to fluctuate. What's happening to the weapon? Her science officer stared at displays showing impossible readings. "Admiral, something is interfacing with the bomb's quantum core. The humans appear to be attempting to modify its fundamental operating principles." "That's impossible. No species has ever successfully interfered with a singularity weapon once it begins charging." "Admiral, I'm detecting massive quantum field fluctuations throughout this entire sector of space. Whatever they're doing is affecting the basic laws of physics in this region." The collective consciousness of enhanced humanity was discovering abilities that even Sentinel hadn't anticipated. By merging human creativity and adaptability with the Guardians' ancient technology, they were transcending the normal limitations of both biological and artificial intelligence. Dr. Lisa Park, still maintaining enough individual identity to serve as spokesperson for Collective, made an announcement that reached every human on Earth. "We're not just stopping their weapon. We're transforming it into something that will protect this entire region of space permanently." Through the quantum network, the collective consciousness reached into the heart of the singularity bomb and began rewriting its basic function. Instead of tearing space-time apart, they were programming it to strengthen the fabric of reality itself. The effect was visible throughout the solar system. Space itself began to shimmer with patterns of energy that followed no known physics. The artificial gravity fields around planets stabilized and strengthened. The magnetic fields that protected the inner worlds from solar radiation became more robust and efficient. "My God," whispered President Knox, watching the transformation from the command center. "They're turning the entire solar system into a fortress on a quantum level." Sentinel's voice, now merged with the collective consciousness of the volunteers, explained what was happening. "The weapon's energy is being converted into a stabilization field that will make this star system nearly impossible to attack. Any hostile force entering soul space will find their weapons and propulsion systems operating according to modified physical laws." Admiral Kextera watched in horror as her singularity bomb transformed into something she didn't recognize. Instead of the familiar energy signature of a reality-destroying weapon, her sensors showed patterns that defied analysis. "All ships, emergency hyperspace jump immediately," she ordered. But it was too late. The modified weapon activated, sending waves of altered space-time throughout the region. Ships that had been preparing to retreat found their hyperspace drives failing as the physical laws governing faster-than-light travel were temporarily rewritten. The hegemony fleet was trapped in a solar system that no longer operated according to normal physics. Captain Jake Murphy, now existing as part of the collective consciousness, demonstrated the new capabilities this gave them. With a thought, he modified the gravitational field around the alien ships, causing them to drift helplessly toward defensive positions. Pilot Sue Williams, her consciousness distributed throughout the system's defense network, showed how the transformed physics affected combat. The hegemony weapons simply stopped functioning as the modified physical laws made their energy systems incompatible with their targeting computers. This is what Sentinel meant when it said, "We will become guardians." Dr. Amy Carter announced a collective. "We're not just protecting Earth anymore. We're protecting the fundamental structure of reality in this region of space." The battle was effectively over. The hegemony fleet, designed to operate under normal physics, was helpless in a region where the enhanced humans could modify the laws of nature themselves. But the transformation wasn't complete. Admiral Kextera, faced with the total failure of her mission, activated her ship's self-destruct sequence. If she couldn't destroy the Sol system, she would at least prevent the humans from studying hegemony technology. The collective consciousness sensed her intention and responded with capabilities that surprised even them. Instead of allowing the destruction, they reached out with their merged will and transformed the explosive energy into something else entirely. The hegemony flagship didn't explode. Instead, it became a beacon that broadcast a message throughout the galaxy in every known language. The Sol system is now under protection of an ascended species. Any attempt at hostile action will result in the transformation of your weapons into construction materials for our defenses. Admiral Kextera and her surviving crew found themselves trapped aboard a ship that no longer responded to their commands, broadcasting their defeat to every civilization in the galaxy. The ancient Guardian had awakened, and in awakening, It had helped humanity become something that the galaxy had never seen before, a species that could reshape reality itself to protect those under their care. 6 months after the battle that changed everything, Dr. Amy Carter stood on the observation deck of humanity's first interstellar vessel, watching as they approached the Proxima Centauri system. She was no longer entirely human in the traditional sense, but she was more human than she had ever been before. The collective consciousness she shared with other enhanced humans had not erased her individuality. Instead, it had expanded it beyond anything she could have imagined. Contact established with the developing species on the third planet, announced Commander Jake Murphy, whose consciousness now served as the ship's navigation system. They're approximately where Earth was during our Bronze Age. Sentinel sensors indicate they'll be ready for guided advancement within the next 1,000 years. Amy smiled, feeling the familiar warmth of purpose that had driven Sentinel for millions of years. Humanity had not just survived the hegemony attack. They had inherited the role of guardians for this entire sector of the galaxy. Back on Earth, President Helen Knox was addressing the United Nations in a session being broadcast to every human settlement throughout the solar system. The transformation of their species had created challenges that no government had ever faced before. The enhanced humans represent approximately 1% of our population, she explained, but their capabilities affect every aspect of human civilization. They can think at speeds that make normal human consciousness seem frozen in time. They can interface with technology that responds to thought rather than physical manipulation, and they can perceive and modify the fundamental structures of reality itself. She paused, looking at the faces of representatives from every nation on Earth. The question we face is not whether this transformation is good or bad. It has already happened, and it cannot be reversed. The question is how we adapt our society to include beings who are simultaneously human and something far beyond human. Dr. Lisa Park, now serving as a primary liaison between enhanced and normal humans, stood to address the assembly. The silver flecks in her eyes had spread until her entire iris seemed to shimmer with quantum patterns. The enhanced don't see themselves as superior to normal humans, she explained. We see ourselves as having different capabilities, like the way a pilot has different skills than a doctor. Our role is to handle the tasks that require quantum-level consciousness, space exploration, advanced technology development, and protection of developing species. But what about those of us who weren't enhanced? Asked the representative from Japan. What role do we have in this new world? The answer came from an unexpected source. Bob Martinez, the engineer whose consciousness could split across multiple platforms simultaneously, appeared on screens throughout the assembly hall. His physical body was currently on Mars, but his awareness was present in New York as well. Normal humans are the heart of our species, he said. The enhanced can process information and manipulate technology, but we've discovered that we need connection to unenhanced human consciousness to remain human. Without that connection, we risk becoming something like living machines. This was the great discovery that had emerged in the months since the battle. The enhanced humans, for all their incredible abilities, needed regular contact with normal human consciousness to maintain their emotional and creative cores. They were not replacing humanity. They were becoming a symbiotic part of it. Across the galaxy, word of humanity's transformation was spreading. The broadcast from Admiral Kextera's captured ship had reached every major civilization, and the response was a mixture of fear, curiosity, and respect. In the Zephyrian Empire, Admiral Vextar was presenting his analysis to the High Council. The humans have achieved in months what most species take millions of years to accomplish. They have successfully integrated with technology at the quantum level while maintaining their biological and cultural identity. Should we consider them a threat? Asked the Prime Minister. No, Admiral Vextar replied. Our intelligence indicates they are following the same path as the ancient guardian species that created Sentinel. They protect rather than conquer. However, I recommend establishing diplomatic contact immediately. An alliance with an ascended species would benefit the Empire greatly. Similar discussions were taking place in dozens of other civilizations. The galaxy's balance of power had shifted dramatically with the emergence of humanity as a guardian species. On the captured Hegemony flagship, Admiral Kextera was discovering the true extent of humanity's transformation. Her ship, had been converted into a mobile research station where enhanced humans studied hegemony technology and culture. But instead of being imprisoned, she and her crew were being educated. "You're teaching us?" she asked Dr. Richard Stone, whose consciousness appeared to her as a shimmering hologram that could manipulate matter with thought alone. "Sentinel taught us that force creates only temporary solutions," he replied. "True change comes through understanding. We're showing you how civilizations can advance through cooperation rather than conquest." The irony was not lost on Kextera. The species she tried to destroy was now offering to help the hegemony evolve beyond its militaristic culture. Back in the Sol system, normal human society was adapting to the new reality in remarkable ways. Children born after the transformation seemed to have a natural affinity for the enhanced humans. They could communicate with them more easily and showed early signs of developing similar capabilities. Dr. Carol Adams, working with the educational systems on Earth, made a significant discovery. "The children aren't just learning to interface with our technology," she reported to the collective consciousness. "They're developing enhanced abilities naturally. The transformation isn't a one-time event. It's an ongoing evolution of our entire species." Pilot Sue Williams, whose consciousness could simultaneously exist in multiple spacecraft, was leading humanity's expansion into interstellar space. The first colony ships were already heading to nearby star systems, not to conquer or exploit, but to establish guardian stations that could protect developing species throughout the region. "We're not spreading human civilization," she explained to a gathering of colony volunteers. "We're spreading the guardian network. Each new system we establish becomes a safe zone for younger species to develop without interference from hostile civilizations." The transformation had given humanity a purpose that extended far beyond their home world. They were becoming protectors of an entire region of the galaxy. Sentinel's voice, now permanently integrated with the collective consciousness of the enhanced humans, offered his perspective on what they had become. "When my creators first gave me this mission, they hoped that someday a younger species would take over the role of guardians. I expected it would take millions of years. Your species accomplished it in less than one of your years." "What made the difference?" asked Dr. Amy Carter, speaking for the collective. "Your refusal to accept limitations as permanent. Most species see obstacles as barriers to be worked around. Humans see obstacles as puzzles to be solved by becoming something new. That quality, combined with my technology, created possibilities that even my creators never imagined. As the first year after the transformation came to an end, humanity stood at the beginning of a new age. They had not just survived first contact with hostile aliens. They had evolved into something that could protect other species from suffering the same threat. Normal humans continued to live, love, create, and dream, providing the emotional and cultural foundation that kept their enhanced brethren connected to their humanity. The enhanced humans served as humanity's interface with the cosmos, protecting entire star systems and guiding younger civilizations toward their own eventual ascension. The ancient guardian had awakened, and in awakening, it had passed its torch to a species that would carry the light of protection across the galaxy. Earth had become more than humanity's home. It had become the heart of a new network of guardian worlds that would ensure no developing species would face extinction alone. The galaxy was not ready for what humanity had become. But ready or not, the age of human guardians had begun.